From this point onwards, Ira, you are not going to stop this recording. It is going to be natural, and you are going to just get through this no matter what. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect, okay? You can remember. Today is the 20th of December. It is 1:20, and I am sitting in my newly made office recording this. It's going to be episode 0 of my new podcast. This podcast is, I don't know, possibly the start of nothing, possibly the start of a legacy, possibly. This is just going to be something that I bring up in conversations with people in the future saying it was actually really important at the time. I'm doing this because I was burned out. I was really, really, really burned out. I kept having this thought that it's not that I'm unhappy, but I'm just not where I want to be. And I know that happiness isn't on the other side of the goal, but how do you know when you're doing enough? And it led to me just fully burning out. And I, luckily, maybe not the right word, but my back gave out before my mental state gave in completely. And I have been on sick leave from work for about 4 months now. 3 months, maybe. That's not important. The point is that it's given me time to think. It's given me time to reevaluate and it's given me the time to plan my next steps, get back on top of everything, and think about what I really want in life. So, although, funnily enough, I actually tried to start this podcast, I think in February of 2025, so 10 months ago. You'll be hearing from my lawyers. Now, my lawyers might sound a lot like me just doing random, possibly racist attempts at accents down the phone, but just know that they are very real. Never got around to it because, again, I had too many things on my plate. But this is me sitting down in a room with a table and a microphone, talking to you, talking through and trying to work out these complicated feelings I've had through the journey of trying to become a comedian, plotting and journaling the next steps that are going to come, and hopefully by sharing my experience it will be useful to other people also on their way. That is to say, this is my podcast and this is me talking through things. So let's actually introduce this bitch. Welcome to the Harlequin Room. This is a coffee table conversation-like podcast for creatives, the dreamers, the wannabes, those who are struggling, and those who are spiritually downtrodden. My name is Ira Sylvester. I'm going to be your host. I am a comedian. I'm a psychology graduate. I'm an idiot philosopher. I am a man who has made many mistakes in his life and has learned from them and want to impart that wisdom onto other people like yourself. For example, I know that planning is very, very important and can be a useful tool, but things are going to go wrong. And then if you've planned out too much, then the word premeditated gets thrown around the courtroom and now you're in more trouble than you would have been in the first place. So instead, sometimes the only plan that you really need is just a general outline, then you need to act, then you need to revise based on your actions, and then you need to revisit it. And that's the only plan that you need. This is a podcast about trying to make a life in the arts. It's about the ambition, the fear, the discipline or the lack thereof, and the emotional breakdowns that come while trying to make your dreams happen while simultaneously working a job that isn't necessarily a bad job, but does make you want to tear your hair and beard out all the time. I'm fine, really. I am not a guru. You should not think of me as a master. I am closer to an older brother in the creative sphere. That's a hard word to say. And I don't have the answers. I have suggestions. So listen if you will. Don't if you don't want to. This is going to be a kind of journey. I hope you stick around, but if you don't, that's fine too. I'm going to keep doing this. This is the Harlequin Room, and this is episode 0. Why I am doing this and why this might fail. This isn't a polished success story. This is a public journal. This is the process, not the end point. Like I said in the intro, I'm 5 years into this journey of trying to turn my creative sphere into a creative career. And I'm at the point where I am reflecting, and I am also, although I've done an hour stand-up before, there is a difference between talking for an hour and actually having a solid hour that's put together, and I'm putting that together in the process. So I thought it would also be really nice to document that process in and of itself from the beginning. Well, not quite from the beginning. I have been working on this idea of what my hour should be for a while now. And it's interesting when it comes to art, because it's when one has a mind like me, it's very easy to get kind of wrapped up and want to rush ahead and have everything done. But it is the thing of being a creative, that it is the process itself which is the art. If you understand me, it's tempting to just want to have the final product. It's tempting to desire having the finished thing, because that means you can bypass all the heartache and the stress, but you also bypass the joy, you bypass the inspiration. It's with every high is a low, and I realize that I have for a very long time been dissatisfied because I've been living in the future. I have been living with a desire to, pardon me, I have been living with a desire to have it already done. And I think that was born out of anxiety, out of fear of either not being able to do it, or not knowing how to do it, or maybe it doesn't need to be verbalized. It's not being present, which is ironic for me, considering I have also realized that one of my biggest issues is that I am chronically in the moment and not thinking well enough about the future. So I'm having to learn how to think about the future, which is difficult and sound contradictory. I'm doing fine on paper, not exceptional, but I'm doing fine. But internally, I've struggled, and that it's been hard. Well, I think really, like I was saying before, this feeling that I've been getting has come from a lack of fulfillment. And that lack of fulfillment is because I haven't been doing the things that I want to the degree that I feel is maybe not just necessary, but required of me. I have created these kind of mental boundaries, or these kind of imaginary goalposts, or ways of being that I I consistently set too high a standard, never live up to it, and then feel like I am unworthy because of it. It's just me. It's me making this, not making this harder for myself, but it's a lack of realization about what is appropriate. How do you know when you're working hard enough? How do you know when you are enough? And the thing is, the only person who can give you that answer is yourself. There is no external validation that will ever be enough. There is no external kind of thing that will ever be truly fulfilling. You can't find that fulfillment outside of yourself. So to frame the podcast, this is going to be a place where I think out loud, a space where things can be left unfinished, a safe environment for us to just be confused and let it out, and just enjoy ourselves. It will be mostly me journaling, but I will be joined by other people sharing their journey and experiences as well, because I know I'm not alone with this kind of feeling. Who is this for? Well, this is for me, but who am I? I am a mixed race, neurodivergent, psychology graduate, international, living in Denmark. I was a mental health first aid instructor. I was a national organizer of an anti-racist campaign. I am still currently a volunteer facilitator for this program called Roots In, where we connect young creators with those who have already been successful in their own creative fields. And I currently work a day job in retail. I'm a comedian, and I don't think that you need to be like me to have my struggles. You don't have to have walked the same identical journey for our journeys to still be the same. This podcast is for anyone who feels like they are late or behind or that they missed a memo. This podcast it's for you. It's for the lost and the hopeful. It is for the dreamers with spreadsheets. It is for the people who have day jobs like me and are moonlighting as the thing that they want to be. Breaking into your creative sphere can be really, really difficult for three main reasons that have been found, generally speaking, is one, breaking into a creative field generally takes a certain level of kind of financial privilege. You need to be able to take that unpaid internship or be able to take 6 months to a year off so that you can focus and really like kind of drive into your art or dive into your art rather. I feel like I've been lucky with my back injury and my surgery because it gave me a few months where I'm still getting paid, still being looked after. I live in a country where there is enough of a social safety net that it caught me while I'm ill and has allowed me to have the time and mental capacity. A term in Danish that kind of explains this is called overskud, which we don't quite have a direct translation for in English, but essentially it means kind of like capacity, energy, motivation, but it can also kind of be used as a verb. Anyway, the point is the first thing that you may need is financial freedom, privilege. The second thing is what I have, which is just plain luck to be able to either have the space to do what you need to do, or I don't know, meet the right person at the right time so that they can guide you in, which actually takes me to the third point. And the third one is just having the network. It's not clear how to do things all the time or how or what is available, or even if things are available, how do you approach it? And once you approach it, what is the unspoken rules of this world? How do you succeed in this world? It's hard to make it when everything around us is just fueled towards a kind of, well, it's a capitalist system. It's fueled around profit and production as opposed to feeling, without trying to sound too soppy. But a lot of art and creativity is about expression, and to turn your expression into a commodity is difficult, to say the least. Sometimes it can feel like, and if you're listening to this, you may agree that it feels like everyone else has the answers or they know what they're doing, and I can promise you they don't. They are just better at exhibiting the things that are going well. This is an opportunity. It's not an opportunity. What I'm doing right now is kind of the complete inverse of that. This isn't showing things that are going well. This is showing everything that led up to. This is the debrief and the introduction and the actual process itself of living as a creative. So maybe you can learn from this, maybe you can't, but that's why this is episode 0 and why this is going to be a little bit messy, especially in editing, because I'm working this out as I go. I'm going to stop here just for a brief moment to shout out the sponsors of this episode. Our first and foremost sponsor is Clarity TM. Clarity is that feeling that you get for 12 minutes when you step out the shower that makes you feel like everything's going to be all right. Clarity helps creators feel productive without the inconvenience of actually having to do anything. Use code Harlequin now for 10% off absolutely nothing. Back to the show. So here is the format for those of you who aren't already hooked. Again, episode 0, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be one topic per episode where I talk about different things like how to write an invoice or how to deal with imposter syndrome, or the do's and don'ts of showing your work to friends, as not everyone is great at giving feedback, and also how to take feedback in a good way. One topic per episode, yeah. This is going to be a lot about personal experiences, my journey, all that kind of stuff. We're going to make sure that each episode includes one useful idea. One probably uncomfortable truth may be there as well. Again, this is just going to be honest. And yeah, we're going to have recurring segments, including an agony uncle section, which if you are interested in, please write in. I'll say more information about that later on. And also, I'm going to give you a book idea, because these episodes are going to come out roughly every 3 weeks, which should be enough time to buy and read a book, or I don't know, fucking download it on a podcast. I don't care. I very rarely read physically anymore. I just listen to audiobooks because you can reconsume things multiple times. Sometimes I'll be talking to myself. Sometimes I'll be talking to other creatives. Sometimes I'm going to be confident. Sometimes I'm going to contradict myself. That's not a bug. That's a feature. This is the process. This is going to be earnest, and I'm going to try to be funny. I am a comedian, and I will say one thing that's really fucking annoying is everyone goes, "Oh, you're a comedian. Tell us a joke." And here's a joke. Actually, here's a joke for people who say, "You're a comedian. Tell us a joke." Okay. So an opera singer is driving down the road, and he's driving fast because he's late for this performance that he's supposed to be at. It's opening night of this new theatrical opera, and he's the star. So he's speeding down the road, and he's pulled over by a police officer. And the police officer says, name and registration. The opera singer gives his name, let's say it's Pavarotti, and he says, "Officer, I'm really sorry, but I'm in a rush. I know I was speeding, but can you please just give me the ticket. I really need to go." And the officer takes a beat because he's a prick, and he says, "Oh, in a rush? That's no excuse to be speeding. What is so important for you to have to be going so fast in a pedestrian zone?" The opera singer says, "I am an opera singer. It's opening night. I need to be there. Like the show can't go on without me. There are hundreds of people waiting for me. I need to be there." And the police officer says, "You're an opera singer. Okay, sing me a note." The opera singer says, "I'm sorry, I can't sing you a note, because by singing you a single note, you would not understand the breadth or the depth of who I am as a performer. You would not understand my value. And if I were to just sing for you on command like some yapping dog, I wouldn't understand my value either." And then the police officer shot him because he was black. There is a very real chance that this won't continue as long or as far as I would like it to. And that's for a multitude of reasons. Consistency is hard. Motivation is sub to discipline, and I struggle to organize myself. So I've tried to set myself a realistic schedule that I can release, but there is a chance that I won't be able to keep to that schedule. It can be a little bit hard. Life happens. We don't know. But I think it's important for me to actually begin this now, because starting is half the battle. It is not always about completing everything. Sometimes it is the beginning in and of itself, which is the lesson that you needed to learn. Because at least that way you've made a decision. And making decisions, making choices consciously is how we avoid living in bad faith. It is how we develop a sense of autonomy and confidence and ability. I can't tell you how many times I've only gotten the clarity after I've done the action. How many times I've done something and then immediately gone, "What have I done?" We all know the feeling. Having a growth mindset is vital to any creative sphere. Having a growth mindset is vital to moving forward. It's vital to beating those kind of negative thoughts. Having a fixed mindset is not only not helpful, it can be deleterious to your progress. It can, at best, hinder your progress, and at worst it can actually start you, and at worst it can actually stop you from starting in the first place. You can't build momentum if you don't begin. That's just basic physics. And this is true beyond the creative process. It's not just true for creatives, it's also true for business and entrepreneurship. There's this thing called the MVP, which is the minimal viable product, which essentially in a business is when you just, if you want to create something, you just need to create it in whatever simple, straightforward terms you can, so that you can put it out into the world, and then you can do testing with it. You can see what people like, what people don't like, and then you can make adjustments from there to then build something. You can't build the perfect thing when you haven't tried anything. You need the bare bones and then to work on it from there. That's the reason why I actually did record something like this before, but then I made the mistake of just kind of trying to overplan and overschedule, and then I felt like, oh, but I need to do this, that, and the other before I get started. And don't get me wrong, it's nice that I've got my office together. I was moving house, there was too many things that I was juggling at once. But it's not like I've got a perfect mic. It's not like I've got the perfect idea. It's not like I have all of this worked out or how I'm going to move forward, but I have to start, because if I don't start, I never will. And the same might be true for you. I don't know who needs to hear that, but now you got no excuse. Essentially, action serves as a form of research. If there's one thing I keep coming back to, it's the notion that clarity follows on from action. Once you start doing, you start that ball rolling and you start kind of getting the ideas, you learn what can be done differently, what can be done better, what should stay the same, but you won't have that information unless you actually do it. It's actually very, very similar to performing. A lot of people ask me, like, how do I get into comedy? How do I start as a stand-up? And really, you just have to start. There is not necessarily a course or a person who can give you everything that you need. You will grow and fail in real time on stage, and it's going to suck sometimes. I guess kind of that's really what I'm doing with this podcast as well. This is like, I'm treating this podcast the same way that I treat stand-up, and that is get the absolute bare bones together, i.e. if you're on stage, then you need about 5 minutes worth of talking points, and then you need to go up, you need to try and make people laugh within those 5 minutes, and then you come off stage, you watch the tape back, and you see where they laughed and where they didn't laugh, and then you kind of, you adapt, you move forward, you try and build on it from there, because you can't improve something that doesn't exist. It's just your own opinion. You can always put more work into things. 80% is enough. 60% sometimes is enough. As long as you can get started, start. So here's my invitation to you. I don't want this to be a broadcast. I want this to be a room. I want this to be a space. I want this to be a community. So if you're a creative, or even if you're not and you just want some personal advice, if you have doubts, fears, worries, qualms, troubles, issues, this, that, and the other, write in. Just send them to me and I will try to talk through them with you on this podcast. And if I can't make it for the episodes, maybe I'll make like an extra section that will be just agony uncle type stuff. If you have half thought out ideas or jokes or something like that as a comedian and you want to spitball with me, send them in and I will spitball back with you and send it back to you. Again, I'll be doing this all on the podcast. I can try to just respond to emails, but I can't promise I'll have the time. I have a tendency to over plan or kind of over promise and under deliver, and I'm really trying to make sure that I stop doing that. So I'm not promising that I will. But yeah, if you have thoughts, send them in, even if you think they're stupid. Usually the good ones are the best ones. Beyond that, do remember, this isn't therapy. I don't necessarily have the answers. I have suggestions. I never, when I got my degree, I actually originally started because I thought on some level that I would be able to work out the things that are wrong with me by studying psychology. And then after I got my bachelor's degree, I realized to fix all of this would require a PhD, and I'm just not prepared to do that. And one of the things that I want to end with is a book suggestion. So actually, I thought that I love books. I love reading. I love concepts. I love playing with them, because you don't have to take things as gospel, unless you're reading the Bible, I suppose. But it's only by exposing ourselves to ideas and thoughts and like kind of different ways of being that we can really grow. You got to challenge, you got to test yourself. So at the end of each of these, I'm going to give a book suggestion, and the book I'm going to suggest for this one, this episode 0 type thing, is not the book that got me started, but a book that's about a general journey of self-discovery, and that is Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. It is not that long. It is a story of a Brahmin's son who goes on this spiritual journey quest to kind of understand what is, not to understand, but to try and find enlightenment, or nirvana as they call it. And it's a really interesting book because it goes literally from birth to death, and essentially a message, not the only message in it, is that wisdom comes from within. Someone else said something similar to this, and actually this is something that I've been kind of coming back to a lot, and I think it's related heavily to existentialism, but that's more for another time, because actually that's what my debut hour is basically going to be about. But it's the idea that nirvana, enlightenment, is understanding that you're already there, that you've already found it. This is it. In my newsletter, I say as a joke that it's kind of like when you're going to go find yourself. No matter where you go, there you are. And that idea just keeps repeating itself. And it's a great book, so read it. It's something that I want to reread throughout my life, because I think it was given to me by an ex-girlfriend who I haven't spoken to her in years, but if for whatever reason you're watching this, I hope life is treating you well. You were awesome, and I'm sorry I wasn't more mature at the time. But she got me this book, and it was ironically, well, maybe not ironically, maybe quite intentionally so, enlightening. And it's a pretty easy read, and it's something that I want to read again and again and again at like different points in my life and see if I get something different out of it. So that's my book suggestion for this week 0. If you made it this far, then thank you so much. If you are enjoying this, then wherever you're watching this, if you could give it a like, comment, follow, subscribe, whatever the button tells you to do, whatever will help the Lord algorithm over and above notice that I'm here and suggest me to other people, that would be absolutely amazing, and I'd be super grateful. If you want to stay in this room for longer, then you should sign up to my newsletter, which is something I just started, where I am attempting to build my career further, put together a community, and fundamentally start a cult. A cult of personality, yes, but not the kind of drinking Kool-Aid and unalive pact type cult. No. This is closer to a religion that worships each other, but mostly me. Because Jesus said, don't worship false idols, but I don't believe he said anything about becoming one. Or maybe he did, I don't know, I've never read the Bible, I'm not entirely sure he even said what I just said before. But if you enjoyed this, thank you very much, you stuck out with me, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.